The grand hall of the Galactic Council buzzed with whispers and barely contained laughter. Hundreds of alien representatives from across the galaxy gathered to witness humanity's formal application for membership. Commander James Walker stood tall despite the mockery, his weathered face showing no emotion as he presented Earth's achievements. Our light-speed engines have proven reliable across 50 successful jumps, Walker stated, his voice steady. The holographic display behind him showed Earth's finest vessel, the Star Voyager, rotating slowly in the air. A tall crystalline being rose from the central podium. Commander Walker, while we acknowledge your species' achievement of faster-than-light travel, your technology is, how shall we put this, amusingly basic. More laughter echoed through the chamber. Walker's jaw tightened, but he maintained his composure. The alien continued, your ships still operate in mere three-dimensional space. Even the youngest spacefaring races have at least mastered four-dimensional travel. In the back of the chamber, Dr. Anna Reynolds, Earth's leading physicist, typed rapid notes on her tablet. Her eyes sparkled with hidden knowledge as the council members continued their verbal assault on human achievement. Look at their primitive hull design, shouted one representative, pointing at the Star Voyager's image. They still rely on physical matter for protection. And their propulsion system. It's barely more advanced than throwing rocks in space. Another added, causing more rounds of laughter. Walker exchanged a subtle glance with Reynolds. They both knew what was hidden beneath Europa's icy surface. Project Tesseract, humanity's true masterpiece. But now wasn't the time to reveal their hand. The Council's leader, a being made of pure energy contained within an ornate metallic frame, raised its appendage for silence. Commander Walker, humanity has shown remarkable progress for such a young species. However, the Council has standards. We cannot accept members who might drag us backward. Walker nodded slowly. What would you have us do to prove our worth? You have one standard galactic year, the leader declared. Show us significant technological advancement, or Earth will be isolated from all galactic trade routes and knowledge exchange. As the council members began to leave, many still chuckling among themselves, Walker felt a light touch on his shoulder. Reynolds stood beside him, her tablet now tucked away. They have no idea, do they, James? She whispered. No, he replied quietly. And that's exactly how we want it. How's the project proceeding? The final tests are underway. The energy matrix is stable, and the dimensional fold calculations are perfect. Her eyes gleamed with excitement. We're ready whenever you give the word. Walker watched the last of the alien representatives file out, their superior smirks and condescending glances burning into his memory. Not yet. Let them laugh a little longer. When we reveal what we've built, I want them to understand exactly how wrong they were about us. Back on their ship, Walker stared out at the massive space station that housed the Galactic Council. Built using five-dimensional architecture, it twisted in ways that should have been impossible in normal space. Soon, humanity would show them something that would make this structure look like a child's building blocks. Set course for Europa, he ordered the pilot. And make sure our sensor scramblers are active. We wouldn't want our friends in the council getting curious about our little ice moon. As their ship pulled away from the station, Walker thought about the thousands of engineers and scientists working in secret beneath Europa's surface. They had achieved what the council thought impossible. Human minds had not only grasped the concepts of higher dimensional space, but had found a way to harness it. The mockery would end soon enough. When the HMS Infinity emerged from its frozen cradle, the galaxy would learn that humans hadn't been struggling to catch up. They'd been leaping ahead all along. Walker smiled as the stars streaked past their viewport. Let them laugh. The sound would be so much sweeter when it died in their throats. Deep beneath Europa's icy surface, in a facility larger than most cities, Project Tesseract hummed with energy. Dr. Anna Reynolds walked through the massive chamber housing their greatest achievement, her footsteps echoing off metal walls designed to contain forces that shouldn't exist in our universe. The HMS Infinity dominated the center of the chamber, its hull unlike anything ever built. Where normal ships had defined edges, the Infinity seemed to blur at its boundaries, as if it existed in places human eyes couldn't quite see. Power readings are stable at 97%, a technician reported from his station. The dimensional anchor points are holding strong. Reynolds approached the main control center, where screens displayed complex equations that would have given Council mathematicians headaches. She had discovered the key to higher dimensional travel 3 years ago, during a late-night study of quantum entanglement patterns. "Begin the 7th dimensional fold test," she ordered. The crew moved with practiced efficiency, their movements betraying none of the excitement they felt. This would be their 100th successful test, but it still amazed them every time. The air around the Infinity began to ripple. Where most ships would tear holes in space, the Infinity simply shifted. Parts of it existed in dimensions beyond human perception, creating effects that made observers' eyes water if they looked too long. "Mom," called out one of the sensor operators, "we're detecting unusual energy signatures from the Jovian monitoring stations. They might be able to trace this test." Reynolds smiled. "No, they won't. Remember who designed those monitoring stations? The same aliens who thought we couldn't grasp basic four-dimensional math. Their sensors are built to detect normal space disturbances. They'll register this as background radiation at most." The test continued as the Infinity pushed its boundaries further. In the observation deck above, Commander Walker arrived to witness the demonstration. His presence always brought an extra layer of focus to the crew. "How's she performing today, Anna?" he asked, joining Reynolds at the main console. "Better than we hoped. The 7th dimensional drive isn't just stable. It's getting stronger. Each test helps the ship's systems adapt to operating beyond normal spacetime." She pointed to a particular reading. "Look at this. The energy efficiency is now 200% higher than our initial calculations predicted." Walker nodded, satisfaction clear on his face. "The Council thinks we're still struggling with basic FTL drives. Meanwhile, we've built a ship that can exist in 7 dimensions simultaneously." The test reached its peak as the Infinity demonstrated its most impressive feature. The vessel appeared to split into multiple versions of itself, each one existing in a different dimensional plane, but all connected, all part of the same whole. "The multi-dimensional manifestation is holding steady," Reynolds announced. "We can now attack or defend from 7 different dimensional angles simultaneously. No known shield technology can block attacks from that many dimensional vectors." A cheer went up from the control room as the test completed successfully. The Infinity settled back into its primary dimensional state, though parts of it still seemed to fade in and out of normal vision. "How long until we can begin full combat trials?" Walker asked, his mind already on the coming confrontation with the Council. 2 weeks, Reynolds replied. "We need to run a few more stability tests, but the hard part is done. The ship works exactly as designed. Better, actually." Walker watched as maintenance crews swarmed around the Infinity, checking systems and collecting data. "The Council gave us a year to prove ourselves worthy. Little do they know we've already surpassed most of their technology." "It's not just the technology, James," Reynolds said quietly. "What really scares them is that we understood concepts they thought beyond us. Humans didn't just build a 7-dimensional ship, we comprehended what that truly means. That's what will terrify them the most." As if to emphasize her point, the Infinity flickered briefly, parts of it shifting through dimensions in a casual display of power that would have made Council scientists faint. The mockery would end soon. But first, they had to perfect their creation. Humanity's future depended on it. The emergency alarm blared through Europa Base just as Commander Walker finished his morning briefing. Red lights flashed across the massive underground facility as technicians rushed to their stations. "Sir," a communications officer burst into the room. "The Dominion Empire has launched attacks on 3 human colonies. New Mars, Titan Base, and Europa Prime are all under heavy bombardment." Walker's face hardened as he studied the tactical display. The Dominion Empire, one of the most aggressive species in the Council, had finally made their move. Dozens of their warships, each one a city-sized mass of advanced technology, pounded human defenses with weapons that bent the laws of physics. Casualties? He asked, already knowing the answer wouldn't be good. Heavy, sir. Our conventional shields can't stop their quantum phase weapons. New Mars has lost 40% of its protective dome. Titan Base reports critical damage to life support systems. Dr. Reynolds rushed in, her tablet displaying real-time battle data. The Council just responded to our distress call, she reported, disgust clear in her voice. They say we brought this on ourselves by refusing to accept our place in the galactic hierarchy. Walker slammed his fist on the table. They planned this. Give us impossible standards, then watch us get destroyed when we fail to meet them. He straightened up, determination replacing anger. Well, they're about to learn why you shouldn't back humans into a corner. Anna, is the Infinity ready? Yes. All systems are green. The dimensional drives are at full power. Send the order. It's time to show the galaxy what humanity is truly capable of. Deep in the main hangar, the HMS Infinity hummed to life. Its crew boarded quickly, each member trained for years for this moment. The massive chamber ceiling began to retract, ice and rock moving aside to reveal Europa's star-filled sky. All stations report ready, Reynolds announced from her position at the dimensional control console. Dimensional anchors are stable. 7D drives spooling up. Walker took his command chair, watching as status reports flowed in. Remember your training, people. What we're about to do has never been seen in this galaxy. Let's make it count. The Infinity rose smoothly from its hidden berth. As it cleared Europa's surface, its unique properties became more apparent. The ship seemed to exist in multiple places at once, its edges blurring as it partially phased through different dimensional planes. Dominion fleet detected near Titan Base, Tactical reported. 15 capital ships, multiple support vessels. They're not even trying to hide their attack. Plot intercept course, Walker ordered. Let's introduce ourselves properly. The Infinity's engines flared, but instead of conventional propulsion, the ship simply shifted. Space bent around it as it moved through dimensions beyond normal comprehension. In seconds, they crossed a distance that should have taken hours. They emerged directly in the middle of the Dominion fleet. The enemy ships, massive and imposing with their 5-dimensional technology, suddenly looked primitive compared to the Infinity's impossible geometry. They're hailing us, communications reported. Put them through, Walker commanded. A harsh, metallic voice filled the bridge. Unknown vessel, you have entered a military engagement zone. Remove yourself or be destroyed. Walker smiled. This is Commander James Walker of the HMS Infinity. We're here to discuss your unprovoked attack on human colonies. Humans? The voice carried clear disdain. Your primitive vessels are no match for. The transmission cut off as the Infinity demonstrated its power. The ship split its presence across 7 dimensions, appearing to multiply into phantom versions of itself. Each version was real, each capable of attacking from angles that shouldn't exist. All weapons free, Walker ordered. Show them what humanity has been working on. The Infinity's weapons fired. Beams of energy struck from 7 different dimensional vectors simultaneously. The Dominion's most advanced shields, designed to stop 5-dimensional attacks, might as well have been tissue paper. 3 enemy capital ships fell in the first volley, their hulls torn apart by forces they couldn't comprehend, let alone defend against. As the remaining Dominion ships scrambled to respond, Walker opened a channel to all frequencies, including the Council's monitoring stations. This is humanity's response to your ultimatum. We didn't just meet your standards, we exceeded them. The laughter stops now. Chaos erupted across the battlefield as the Dominion fleet struggled to comprehend what they were facing. The HMS Infinity moved in ways that defied their tactical computers, appearing to be in multiple locations simultaneously while somehow remaining a single vessel. Enemy fleet attempting to regroup, Tactical reported. They're forming a defensive sphere. 5-dimensional shield grid powering up. Commander Walker watched calmly as the massive Dominion warships arranged themselves into what would normally be an impenetrable formation. Their shields, capable of stopping attacks from any angle in 5-dimensional space, glowed with power. "Dr. Reynolds, demonstrate why their defensive strategy is outdated," Walker ordered. Reynolds nodded, her fingers dancing across the dimensional control interface. "Initiating 7-dimensional combat maneuver Alpha. All hands brace for dimensional shift." The Infinity's form blurred even further as it extended its presence through higher dimensions. To the Dominion sensors, it would appear as if reality itself was fracturing around them. "They're targeting us with quantum phase cannons," Tactical announced. "Impact in 3 seconds. "Let them hit us," Reynolds said confidently. "Watch what happens." The Dominion's weapons fired, filling space with enough energy to vaporize a small moon. But as the beams approached the Infinity, they passed through empty space. The ship existed partially in dimensions the weapons couldn't reach. "Return fire," Walker commanded. "Full spread, all dimensional vectors." The Infinity attacked from 7 different dimensional planes simultaneously. Energy beams struck the Dominion shields from angles that shouldn't have been possible. Their defensive grid, designed to handle attacks from 5 dimensions, couldn't process the additional vectors. 3 more enemy ships exploded as weapons fire bypassed their shields completely. The remaining vessels attempted to retreat, their crews finally realizing they were hopelessly outmatched. "Sir, we're receiving multiple surrender signals," communications reported. "The Dominion Fleet Commander is requesting terms." Walker stood from his command chair, watching as the once mighty enemy fleet drifted powerless. "Send them this message. Withdraw from all human territories immediately. Any further aggression will be met with the full power of our 7-dimensional technology." As the surviving Dominion ships fled, Reynolds approached Walker with a data tablet. "The battle recordings are already spreading across the galactic networks. Every species in the Council will see this within hours." "Good," Walker replied. "Let them see what happens when they underestimate humanity." "How did our systems perform?" "Better than expected. The dimensional drives maintained perfect stability even during combat maneuvers. We're officially 7 generations ahead of the most advanced Council technology." The bridge crew worked efficiently, collecting data and monitoring the retreat of the Dominion forces. Everyone knew they had just participated in a moment that would change galactic history. "Signal from Earth Command," communications announced. "They're asking for a full report on the ship's performance. The President wants to address the Council immediately." Walker nodded. "Send them everything except the core dimensional drive specifications. Let's keep some secrets for now." Through the bridge viewport, they could see Titan Base beginning its repairs. The human colony, nearly destroyed hours ago, was now under the protection of the most advanced warship in known space. Multiple Council observation vessels detected at the edge of the system, Tactical reported. "They're keeping their distance but recording everything." "Let them watch," Walker said. "They wanted us to prove ourselves worthy of joining their galactic community. Instead, we've proven we're ready to lead it." Reynolds studied the sensor readings of their ship's dimensional signature. "The funny thing is, we're still not operating at full power. The Infinity can theoretically extend its presence through 9 dimensions, maybe more." Walker smiled as he watched the Council vessels maintain their cautious distance. "Keep that information classified for now. Let's give them time to process what they've already seen." The HMS Infinity hung in space, its form still shifting between dimensions, a testament to human ingenuity and determination. The galaxy would never be the same, and the laughter had indeed stopped. The age of human dominance in space had begun. The Grand Council chamber had never been so silent, usually filled with the dignified murmur of hundreds of species discussing galactic politics. Now it sat in stunned quiet as the battle footage played on the massive holographic display. The HMS Infinity's impossible movements filled the screen, its attacks coming from dimensional angles that most beings couldn't even comprehend. When the recording showed the ship splitting its presence across multiple dimensions, several council members had to look away, their minds unable to process what they were seeing. The council leader, its energy form flickering with agitation, spoke first. This cannot be real. Humans were struggling with basic faster-than-light travel mere months ago. Dr. Reynolds stood at the podium, calm and composed. What you saw was very real. The HMS Infinity represents humanity's true level of technological advancement. We simply chose not to reveal it until necessary. Impossible. A crystalline being shattered several of its lower appendages in agitation. No species can progress from three-dimensional travel to seven-dimensional manipulation in such a short time. That's where you're wrong, Reynolds replied. We didn't progress quickly. We simply fought differently. While you were all building upward from 3 dimensions to 4, then 5, we approached the problem from a theoretical perspective first. She activated her own holographic display, showing complex mathematical equations that made several council scientists gasp. Humans have something unique, Reynolds continued. Our minds can conceptualize abstract dimensions naturally. We've been thinking in higher dimensions through mathematics and theoretical physics for centuries. Building the technology was just a matter of catching up to what our minds already understood. The council chamber erupted in panicked discussions. Representatives from various species huddled together, their previous arrogance replaced by fear and uncertainty. Commander Walker, standing at the back of the chamber, watched with satisfaction as the same beings who had mocked humanity now scrambled to understand their achievements. The Dominion Empire requests immediate peace negotiations, announced a council aide, rushing into the chamber. They're withdrawing from all human territories and offering reparations. How generous of them, Walker muttered, just loud enough to be heard. Reynolds continued her presentation, explaining the basics of seven-dimensional theory in terms the council could grasp. Several scientific representatives were recording every word, their species' futures potentially depending on understanding this new technology. We're prepared to share some of our knowledge, Reynolds announced, causing the chamber to fall silent again. But first, humanity's status in the galaxy needs to be appropriately adjusted. The council leader's energy form pulsed rapidly, their species' equivalent of nervous fidgeting. What are your terms? Humanity will take a permanent seat on the High Council, Walker said, stepping forward. Our technological achievements have proven we belong there. Additionally, all trade restrictions on human worlds will be lifted immediately. You can't demand, began one council member, but stopped as Reynolds projected another image of the Infinity's battle performance. We're not demanding, she said quietly. We're offering you a chance to work with us rather than against us. Humanity doesn't seek dominance. We seek partnership, but it must be an equal partnership. The council leader conferred briefly with its advisors before responding. Your terms are acceptable. Welcome to the High Council, representatives of Earth. As the chamber filled with the sound of beings trying to process this massive shift in galactic power, Walker approached Reynolds at the podium. They're already analyzing everything we've shown them, he said softly. How long before they figure out what we can really do? Reynolds smiled. They're still thinking linearly, trying to understand 7 dimensions by building up from 3. Until they learn to think abstractly like humans do, they won't even come close to our level. The council chamber had transformed from a place of mockery to one of respect and fear. Species that had once looked down on humanity now sought their attention, trying to establish diplomatic connections with Earth's representatives. Should we tell them about the 9-dimensional prototype? Reynolds whispered. Walker shook his head. Let them adjust to this first. The galaxy has changed enough for one day. Above them, through the council chamber's transparent dome, the stars shone brightly. Somewhere out there, the HMS Infinity patrolled human space, a guardian of a new era where humanity's laughter had replaced the mockery of others. The warning came at midnight Earth time. The Dominion Empire, desperate and cornered, had launched their entire fleet in one massive assault. Over 3,000 warships emerged from hyperspace, their weapons already charging. In the Europa Base Command Center, Commander Walker studied the tactical display with grim determination. "They're hoping to overwhelm us with numbers before we can deploy the Infinity." "They're too late," Dr. Reynolds announced, entering the room with a satisfied smile. "Project Tesseract didn't stop with one ship. Show them our fleet." Walker nodded and pressed a button on his command console. Hidden bases across the solar system activated. From beneath the surfaces of Mars, Europa, Titan, and several asteroids, ships began to emerge. Each one bore the same impossible geometry as the Infinity. "Battle Fleet Alpha, report status," Walker commanded. "HMS Defiant, ready. HMS Vengeance, ready. HMS Thunder, ready. HMS Lightning, ready. HMS Infinity, leading the charge." 5 seven-dimensional warships, each capable of fighting across multiple planes of existence, formed up in space. The Dominion fleet, for all its impressive size, suddenly seemed much less threatening. "All ships, execute Battle Plan Omega," Walker ordered. "Show them why quantity doesn't beat quality." The human fleet moved as one, their forms blurring as they extended their presence across multiple dimensions. The Dominion ships opened fire immediately, filling space with enough firepower to destroy a small star. But the human vessels simply shifted, letting the attacks pass through empty dimensional spaces. Then they counterattacked. The Infinity led the charge, its weapons striking from 7 different dimensional vectors simultaneously. Entire squadrons of enemy ships vanished as attacks hit them from angles their shields couldn't possibly defend against. "Sir," Tactical reported, "the Dominion fleet is trying to adapt. They're attempting to modify their shields to block our dimensional attacks." Reynolds laughed softly. "They still don't understand. You can't defend against our attacks by simply adding more dimensional layers. You need to fundamentally change how you think about space itself." The battle unfolded like a deadly dance. The human ships moved in perfect coordination, each one attacking from different dimensional angles, creating a web of fire that the Dominion fleet couldn't escape. "Enemy casualties at 40% and rising," Tactical announced. "They're trying to retreat, but their hyperspace engines can't function properly in our dimensional disruption field." Walker watched as another wave of enemy ships fell to their superior technology. "Send them a message. Surrender now, and we'll let your remaining ships return home." The response came quickly. The Dominion fleet commander himself appeared on their screen, his metallic features showing clear signs of stress. "How?" he demanded. "How did your primitive species achieve this level of power?" "We were never primitive," Walker replied. "We just think differently than you do. Last chance. Surrender or be destroyed." The remaining Dominion ships powered down their weapons. In less than an hour, the greatest fleet they could muster had been reduced to floating hulks by just 5 human vessels. As the surrender proceedings began, Reynolds approached Walker with a data tablet. "The other council races are already sending diplomatic requests. Everyone wants to be our friend now." "Amazing how quickly mockery turns to respect when you can attack from 7 dimensions at once," Walker said dryly. The human fleet regrouped, their forms still shifting between dimensions, a sight that would have been impossible just months ago according to most species in the galaxy. "Should we tell them about the Artificial Dimension Project?" Reynolds asked quietly. Walker shook his head. "Let's keep some surprises in reserve. They're still trying to understand 7 dimensions. Telling them we can create new ones might cause a panic." As they watched the Dominion ships being escorted away by their patrol vessels, both knew that the galaxy had changed forever. Humanity hadn't just proven itself, it had established a new standard for what was possible. The old powers of the galaxy would need to adapt, or they would find themselves left behind by the species they had once mocked. The laughter had indeed stopped, replaced by a respectful silence that spoke volumes about humanity's new position in the cosmic order. 6 months after the Dominion's defeat, the Galactic Council chamber looked very different. The circular arrangement of seats now featured Earth's section prominently, marked by the distinctive human flag. Commander Walker stood at the High Council podium, addressing representatives from over 1,000 species. "The Dimensional Defense Initiative is now active," he announced. "Earth will provide protection for all member worlds who sign the new peace accords. In return, we ask only for cooperation and honest scientific exchange." Dr. Reynolds, now Director of Galactic Scientific Development, operated the holographic display showing the network of human patrol routes. 7-dimensional vessels, now numbering in the dozens, maintained peace across vast sectors of space. Additionally, she added, "We're opening 7 research centers across the galaxy. These facilities will teach anyone willing to learn about higher dimensional physics. It's time we all move forward together." The chamber, once filled with mockery toward humans, now hung on their every word. Species that had looked down on Earth months ago now competed for human attention and alliances. "The Dominion Empire's reformation is proceeding as planned," reported a council aide. "Their new government has embraced the human approach to dimensional physics. Their first student group arrives at the Mars Academy next week." Walker nodded approvingly. From enemies to eager students, it was a transformation he'd seen repeated across the galaxy. The HMS Infinity, now a legend, had inspired a new age of exploration and understanding. "There's something else," Reynolds spoke up. "We've detected unusual energy patterns at the galaxy's edge. It seems we're not the only ones experimenting with dimensional technology." This announcement caused murmurs among the council members. Walker raised his hand for silence. "This is why unity is crucial now," he said. "Humanity doesn't want to rule the galaxy. We want to help protect and advance it. Together, we can face whatever comes from beyond our borders." As if to emphasize his point, a 7-dimensional patrol ship phased into view through the chamber's transparent dome. Its impossible geometry, once terrifying to other species, now represented hope and security. "We've established the Dimensional Guard," Walker continued. "Any species that shows aptitude for higher dimensional thinking will be welcome to join. Our strength lies in our diversity of thought." Reynolds pulled up another display, showing the latest breakthrough from Earth's labs. "We're also pleased to announce that stable 9-dimensional travel is now possible. But this time, we'll develop it together with our allies." The chamber erupted in excited discussion. Species that had once competed now talked eagerly about collaboration. The human approach to sharing knowledge, while maintaining key technological advantages, had created a new balance of power. In a quiet corner of the chamber, Walker and Reynolds watched their work bear fruit. "Remember when they laughed at our primitive ships?" Reynolds asked. "Hard to forget," Walker replied. "But I prefer where we are now, leading through innovation rather than fear." A young alien approached them, its crystalline form shimmering with nervous energy. "Honored humans," it said, "I'm one of the first graduates from the Mars Academy. Thank you for teaching us to think beyond our dimensional limits." As the alien left, Walker smiled. "That's our real victory. Not the battles we won, but the minds we've opened." Outside, the galaxy spun peacefully. Human ships patrolled its spiral arms, their 7-dimensional wakes creating patterns that scientists were still trying to understand. Earth had become the center of a new age of exploration and discovery. The laughter stopped. Reynolds mused, but something better replaced it. Respect, cooperation, and maybe a little bit of awe. Walker nodded, watching as more council members approached with questions and proposals. And all it took was showing them that the impossible just needed a different way of thinking. The council session continued, planning humanity's next contributions to galactic civilization. The species that had once mocked Earth's primitive technology now eagerly sought their guidance in understanding the higher dimensions of space. Humanity had not just proven itself, it had transformed the galaxy. And somewhere out there, the HMS Infinity continued its patrol, a reminder that the greatest power comes not from weapons or technology, but from the ability to think beyond what others believe possible. The age of mockery was over. The age of human innovation had begun.